Today on my channel, we are going to be copycatting a cake stand that is currently being sold on the internet for $16.99 plus shipping and handling, using only Dollar Tree products and for a mere $4.50. Stay tuned. For this project, you will need one 11-inch cake plate, one 16-ounce pub glass, one 6-inch glass plate, and 2 bundles of these iridescent marbles. Of course, you will need your handy dandy tools. Today we're going to be working with E6000 and Gorilla Glue epoxy. Let's get crafting. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take our 16-inch glass plate candle holder and we are going to line it with our iridescent marbles. Now I am going to be using a Lazy Susan to help me with this project. It is not a requirement, it is not needed for the project, but it is going to help you to get your work done much faster. And so as you're seeing here, all I'm doing is going in with my hot glue and I'm laying down maybe just enough to put 2 or 3 marbles down at a time. And if you notice, while I'm placing these marbles, I am actually having to hold them until that hot glue sets around them. And so just patting them to make sure that they're in position, holding them while I glue down another short set of hot glue and continuing this process until I get all the way around to the other side. Now, if you notice, I am going in with that hot glue around the very top brim of this plate, because what is happening and what I'm doing is I am allowing gravity to help pull some of that glue down to, 1, get it a little bit tacky, and 2, coat the rest of the side of that plate so that we have a nice even layer of hot glue for that marble, or those marbles rather, to set. And so I'm going to continue this process going all the way around, and when I come back I will show you what it looks like. So here we have our finished 6-inch glass plate candle holder with our marbles set around the side. And if you notice, I did not space them properly to get all the way around, and I could not have stuck another marble in that space. And so it's kind of off center, but that is okay. Just make sure when you are getting this done, you kind of put just a few millimeters of space between each marble so that you will be able to close up your space better than I did. Now, what you see I'm doing here is I'm going under from the bottom and I'm sealing underneath the marbles with my hot glue. So already we have sealed them to the side, and now what we're doing with this technique is we are sealing them on the bottom. I will caution you, however, that as you're putting this hot glue down, make sure that your hand is not in the way, because of course if there's a big enough hole between those marbles, like I show you with that one that is a little bit spaced, then you do not want that hot glue coming down on your hand. And so what I'm going to do now is just set this off to a side and we're going to continue our project. Okay, so here we have our 6-inch plate ready for us to mount our tumbler. And what I'm going to do here is I am using for the very first time this Gorilla epoxy, because in doing my research and due to, of course, some recommendations from some of my subscribers, I have learned that this epoxy is a much better fix for when you are working with glass materials. And so what I'm doing here is, as per the instructions, I'm just mixing this hardener and this resin together for about 20 seconds so that it can get to the consistency needed to ensure that this glass is going to be permanently affixed to this plate. Now, of course, you have a choice in anything that I share with you if you would prefer to continue to use your E6000 glue, or if you would rather just continue to use your hot glue, which, to be honest, I really do not recommend since we're working with glass. Feel free to do so, but for me, since this is going to be something that I'm going to be using permanently in my home and in my business, I am going to use this epoxy to make sure that this cake stand is going to be permanently fixed together. And so, as you can see, I am taking that epoxy and I'm going around the very edge of the brim of that glass. Now, what I'm trying to do is stay on the outside so that if any does fall off balance, it will fall more to the outside rather than on the inside of the glass. But of course, as you will see as I continue, I'm not going to be as successful in doing this, but not to worry, because this epoxy dries 100% clear. And so even though you manage to have a little spill here and there, you will not be able to see it. And now that I have finished placing that epoxy around the lip of that glass, what I'm going to do now, of course, is turn it over upside down. I'm going to put some pressure on it to make sure that I get a nice tight seal, and then I'm going to use a weight. I'm showing you here a candle holder just to press on it to keep some weight on it as this thing dries, and then we will wait for that to dry, maybe 10-15 minutes, and then we'll get back to that part of our project. Now, what we're going to do now is we are going to continue the same process with our hot glue and our marbles to embellish the sides of our cake plate. And so again, we're going to be using a generous amount of glue, not too much, because you don't want there to be gobs and gobs of dried glue by the time all is said and done, but enough so that those marbles can sit in that glue, become nestled in it, so that they will be able to be permanently affixed. Now, some of you may ask, well, Miss Danielle, why are you not using your E6000 glue? And I will say to you, you very well may use that combination of the E6000 and the hot glue like we have used in the past. But just for my purposes, since I'm going to be using this cake stand, of course, to hold edible products, I did not want to use the E6000 glue or even the Gorilla epoxy on the part of this project where food is going to sit. And so just continuing this process, going around until I get to the other side, I am going to be using my hot glue, maybe 3 or 4, the length of 3 or 4 marbles at a time, placing them down, holding them to make sure that they set, and just continuing until I get back around to the other side. So here we have our 6-inch plate with our 16-ounce tumbler that is now stuck to it. And what we're going to do now is we are going to affix some marbles around the outer brim of this glass. Now, mind you, this part is not included in the original cake stand that we're copycatting, but we are going to do this to elevate our cake stand just a little bit more than the original is and stay within our $4.50 price point. I'm going to continue the process going all the way around, and then I will be back. So here we have what it looks like now that we have added our marbles to the inside of this plate or the outer edge of our brim. And what it is I'm showing you now while I'm using my finger to trace this is, if you can look, maybe you can see but not too much, is just some remnants of that hot glue as it has dried. And you will see when we get to the outro in my prototype, what I did right there was I just traced that with some pearl strings, but for the purpose of this one that I'm making with you in this moment, and to make sure that we are sticking to our $4.50 price point, I am just showing you what it looks like without those pearls. And then for my purposes, once the video is finished, I will go ahead and add those so that both of my cake trays look the same. And so what I'm doing now is just using my E6000 glue, going around the outer edge of that glass or the bottom of the glass, and then in the middle of the bottom of that glass, going in with my hot glue to ensure a right now fix as we continue working and waiting for this to dry. And I'm going to press down in the middle first to make sure that that hot glue comes into contact with that cake tray. And once I'm satisfied that that has happened, I will now press down on the outer edge of that cake tray to make sure that that E6000 glue also has made contact. And when I'm satisfied with that, I will put a weight on it, set it to dry. Then I will clean this up and come back to show you what the finished project looks like. And here we have it, my darlings, our Dollar Tree Shop Wild Things Copycat cake stand that we made for only $4.50. Now what you're seeing here is the prototype that I created earlier, that I used a pearl of strings just to elevate the bottom of this cake stand just a little bit more. But as you can see here, I've placed my cake, which had a little accident moving from the box to the cake stand, on top of a white dolly, so that that cake is not sitting on that cake stand by itself. And then here you can see the one that we just created together without the pearls, for the purpose of staying true to our $4.50 price point. And as you can see here, I have served some cupcakes on this tray with a white dolly underneath as well. My darlings, I think that we can truly say we have nailed this. Listen, if you have found any value at all in this video, I kindly ask you to give it a thumbs up and to leave me a comment in the comment section below. To my Danny's darlings, I want to say to you, thank you so much for all the comments, the kind words, the thumbs up, the questions. Please know that you guys are appreciated. To those of you who may not yet be Danny's darlings, if you have found some value in this video, we ask that you would kindly consider joining our ever-growing community of DIYers. And if you do choose to do so today and subscribe, please also make sure to click the notification button so that you will be made aware of whenever my videos are published. Listen, I will leave you guys with this, one of our mottos here on my channel. Why buy when you can DIY? My darlings, it has been a pleasure. I look forward to crafting with and learning from you guys again in a few short days. And until then, I say to you, be well, take care, know that I love you all. Bye now.